Welcome, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have Yury with me, who is a very talented SEO strategist and consultant, and I can't wait to share with you guys his story. So, hi, Yury, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Also, I'm very thankful that you're on the show because you've got a lot of experience going on. You work with in different roles, um, but I would like you to introduce yourself and share the world why you're awesome.
Why I'm awesome. Oh, wow. Yeah, you did a good intro. So my name is Yuri. I've been in the SEO space for maybe 15 plus years now. Yeah, I got started really early back when like Overture was the go-to search engine, which most people have never even heard of. So I've been doing this for quite a while. Kind of just gave away my age there a little bit. But yeah, I've worked in a lot of different agencies in New York when I was living there at the time, consulting companies and in-house. So, I've had the chance to work across like a number of different verticals and industries. So it kind of provides me a lot of unique insights that, you can apply from one industry to another. Um, that's kind of my quick one.
That's amazing. Um, I know that your previous role, you were guys were working in acquiring businesses, emerging businesses, which is a very unique thing, and a very kind of like advanced business strategy, I think, which you would like to explore today because you've got both the SEO knowledge and also you've been working with clients who either want to sell or buy businesses. But in your previous role as mergers and acquisitions director, like what did you do? Like what was the general overview of your day?
Yeah, so I had two positions there. So I would still do the day-to-day SEO work of websites in our portfolio, but also I would look for acquisition targets to buy to grow the company. So basically, it would be either direct outreach to businesses looking to acquire the website. I also review all the businesses for sale that would be listed through brokers. So especially like in the online business space, that would be like Quiet Light Brokerage and Empire Flippers. So my
Flickr.
job is basically to kind of, find potential opportunities and then do some of the due diligence, dive into the business, the numbers. So that also provided like a lot of, unique insights. Just getting access to that data, can help, with your own portfolio or just again provide insights of what tactics some of the other companies are doing to grow their businesses.
What was one of the unique cases, like a unique business case where a business was acquiring another one?
Yeah. So actually, when I was at the company, we would help investors acquire online businesses first before the company kind of switched to acquiring themselves. Um, uh, Sort of like one of the horror stories we had is we had a client buy a website for six figures, and then the next day, Google released an update, and the site just completely crashed. We've had one where there was actually some bug within Google where a site was again completely died. And this was before all the recent like algorithm updates within like the last 2 years. So there was a lot of volatility back then. Um, as far as strategies, I'd say. Well, especially now, I think what's important for SEOs is because with all the updates, a lot of the content sites, they got really killed during the helpful content update. But what actually that does is that opens opportunities for other types of business, like that are classified as something else, whether it's SaaS and e-commerce. They can buy those businesses like a penny on pennies at the dollar and then merge it and redirect it into their own. So that way they
Yeah.
inherit the content of that business, they inherit the domain authority and there's a good chance that they're going to regain the rankings they lost as a content site because now, they're like an e-commerce site or a service-based business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, companies like Otis also do this where they buy expired domains and then they resell them so that other people can build a brand new business on that, right? But it's what I think what you're saying is different because it's an active business. Is it right?
Correct. Yeah. So with expired domain names, it's kind of like a 50-50 shot. When you buy an expired domain and you build a site on it, it might just go completely pop off and go crazy, or it might not do anything, and you really don't know until you actually try it. Whereas your chance significantly increases if you're buying another website just because it's already active, it has the history, the authority, it has the content. So you're inheriting all of that into the new website. So it's just a lot more powerful that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for clarifying this. Also, during your consultancy work as well as your previous director work, you probably audit a lot. And one of the my questions I have is when you run an SEO audit, what are the three main things you look for, or is it different all the time? For someone who wants to up their audit game, what would you advise?
Yeah, I'd say depending on on the type of like business it is, you're going to see some similar patterns and issues, right? Like for example, with e-commerce sites, you're going to see something similar, especially if they're all hosted on the same platform like Shopify. I'd say the big ones I see the biggest issues would be around like indexation issues or duplicate content.
Yeah,
A lot of e-commerce businesses, right? They have like blog content that competes
product
with
page.
their product page and category page. So then they're cannibalizing the keyword rankings there. I yeah, I'm trying to think. Just looking at the sitemap, the robots.txt file, I find like again a lot of indexation issues where some pages that should be indexed are not getting indexed, and vice versa, right? They have pages which they thought that they were blocking somehow, they're getting picked up. There's a lot of like empty category pages that are getting indexed that should have been deleted. Um, I use like a number of different tools like Screaming Frog and the Ahrefs, and then I do like kind of manual searches with like site colon to see what's getting picked up. Um, if they have international sites, right, I'll take a look to make sure that it's set up properly. Because sometimes I'll be looking for like US site and then like some their Canadian or other website starts coming up in the search results. Um, and
Actually,
then
how
one
do
of
you?
them,
Sorry, we did
yeah.
have a client back at my previous job where we had a client and they had multiple uh locations. So, or not location, but they were serving different countries. So Australia, I think U.S. and maybe Canada or something. And then they had the same service. So it was a bit of a messy situation for their content strategy as well as everything else at their site structure. How do you often come across these clients where they have one big brand but they are located in different countries?
Yeah, I mean, so the most important thing to make sure is all the Hearthline tags set up there.
Okay.
And I believe your company now has a tool to help with that.
Yes.
So,
A
so you can
language
plug that
group.
in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want to make sure it's all set up properly there. And then I think kind of while doing the technical audit, you pick up on a lot of the other things. And I think one of the biggest thing is like the low-hanging fruit opportunity is a lot of companies aren't creating as many bottom of the funnel pages as they have the ability to, especially looking like at e-commerce sites, right? Say you have a couple hundred products. You can categorize them into so many different ways. And the way that e-commerce filters work is they don't create unique pages. So it doesn't really give you the chance to rank for those keywords. So you might need a separate tool or create those like category pages manually, but that opens up like a ton of opportunities. That's kind of the quickest win there.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and what were some of the things that you've seen online or even at networking events where people suggest certain audit techniques, but they are actually, in your opinion, maybe not so useful and people wasting their time on it? Do you know any?
I mean, a lot of people still like recommend doing like a toxic link audit with like SEMrush, which, I don't really think you need to go and disavow links anymore. Google's smart enough where they basically just ignore the links and they're not really going to penalize you for toxic links you have. But that's one of those services where, if a company can make money offering it and the business doesn't know, they'll still keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's one of those services then that doesn't really move the needle, but business owners or other agencies just tend to pay extra for it. Um,
Exactly. And
and
you can actually
yeah.
hurt yourself because if you disavow, you might be getting some like bad links, right? But maybe one of or two of them are helping you. And if you start disavowing them, you can actually end up hurting yourself.
Oh, I see, I see, I see. You did mention before our call actually that with all these updates and how the size, many of the websites crash due to the HCU, but it's also opening opportunities for other businesses to thrive. What are the probably multiple ways, maybe two or three, where this is actually an opportunity and not a loss for SEOs?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing for SEOs to do who got hit with this kind of update, I'd say, rather than try to recover from the site, it would be to kind of change the model of the site. I think everybody knows content sites are not the best strategy forward. So if you can kind of turn it into, I think e-commerce is great. It's going to continue to do well, local businesses as well. So you could take the assets that you have that, have like declined or lost most of the traffic and integrate it into a different type of business, whether it's local business, you could change it to lead generation and sell leads. It might be converting it or merging it into an e-commerce website, SaaS, whatever it is. I would just personally avoid trying to recover a content site or even continue running them, especially if you're not like a huge publisher. You
Yeah.
know, for like we saw what happened to even Forbes now, we saw what happened to HubSpot. Even the big ones are getting taken down. So
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, Fourth was pretty much like adding too much of like unnecessary content that wasn't really serving their business, right? Like they were writing about everything at the end.
well, Forbes' biggest thing is what hurt them is they ended up getting called out because what they were doing is like parasite SEO. So they had another company that was running most like all of like Forbes Advisor and Forbes Health, and they were kind of lying about it. So I think that's what hurt them. HubSpot is yeah they were going too wide, too broad, and not focusing enough on sort of their core expertise, and they were just trying to rank for as many keywords as they could.
Yeah, 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 yes. I was so surprised that immediately when there was a like Ahrefs showed the traffic drop for HubSpot, like all these Facebook group, boom, like people were talking about it instantly. And I'm always amazed how SEOs are so on top of these things because yeah, I have other things to do than looking at HubSpot's traffic. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah. Like I love following like Glenn Alsop from Detailed and Gaps because he's always on top of things. So, if you just follow the right people, you don't have to stay on top of it. You can kind of just see when they give you an update. But what's interesting about HubSpot is even after they dropped, they had like one of their best earnings reports. So their stock just went up a lot. I don't know, but that was for Q4. It'll be interesting to see how they do in Q1 of
2020.
2025. But right now, their stock is booming.
Okay, okay. But it might not be very related to their organic traffic though. It's just more other factors in the company that the stock went up.
It certainly could. Like, it's hard to know because we don't work there, so we don't know how much
Yep,
of
yep.
their customers are coming from like SEO versus inbound. They also like that's a company that makes a lot of acquisitions, right? So they acquired The Hustle and the Trends newsletter.
Oh, I didn't
So
know
they
that
make
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like I think this was like 2 years ago. They make quite a few acquisitions around their audiences, and so they're going to continue doing that, and it's a great way for them to get new customers.
Would you actually
It's
suggest SEOs to get more into business acquisitions now that, I mean, most SEOs know how to build sites and on basically build online businesses, but I don't know if they have yet that mindset or like, okay, I'm just gonna go out and buy business. I mean, James Dooley is really vocal and great at like acquiring businesses, but I can tell that he's in a quite different mindset than the 90% of SEOs.
Yeah, I do think it makes sense. I think it's the fastest way to growth is through acquisition, right? If you look at like SEMrush, right? Look at how many businesses they've acquired now. They acquired like Traffic Think Tank. They've acquired what was it? Exploding Topics, Backlinko, right?
Really?
So
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
anything. So good you're on the show, man.
Yeah. So like, and so what they're doing is like all these things that they're acquiring, they're basically changing the links from what used to be Ahrefs to SEMrush, and they're just going to continue making acquisitions. So yeah, I do think it makes sense for SEOs, especially if they have like whether they have a business, that's solely focused on SEO or they're in other industries. It does make sense for them, and I think now's a good opportunity as well.
Perfect. What are the things that, okay, so say I'm an SEO and I'm looking to buy businesses. I know how to build a good one, but like, what are the things I need to look out for? What are the the factors or like the checklist that I should be looking when buying another business?
Sure. I mean, at some point, like especially for a large acquisition, you might want to bring in like a due diligence company to help you with this. But some of the things is like that I look for whether the business, if there's a diversification of traffic or revenue, right? Which is why a lot of these content websites are super risky businesses to buy because
They are.
if
Yeah.
they're completely reliant on SEO and they're completely reliant on one, revenue channel, which is usually something like, AdThrive or one of those. Uh, Publication or media publishers that pay. Um, so if you're acquiring a business, you want to have some diversification there because it minimizes the risk. So if there's a business that has traffic from Facebook, from Instagram, from email marketing, organic, and like AdWords, that makes it a much more solid business and usually will have like a better multiple as well because it can be sustained for much longer.
So diversification of traffic and revenue. What about like, do you guys look too much into personal brand? If the company is tied too much into a person, is it a big factor, or is it something people can still go around with? So say if you
Yeah,
have like a Neil Patel, I don't know, like he has a giant personal brand, or even Matt Diggity has a giant personal brand. Like if I was to buy someone's personal branded company, is that a risky thing, or what do you think?
it's definitely risky, but I'd say it's not insurmountable. The last company I was with, where I was doing mergers and acquisitions, we bought a business that was built around the personal brand, and we bought it for around $4 million. And it's a process to transition it from like a new owner to somebody else, but there's definitely like strategies around it, right? So in that case, we bought a course, and the goal there is to take some of the students who did well with the course and then slowly phase them in as the face of the company. With Matt Diggity, it would be probably a little bit more difficult, right? Just because he's like in every video. So it might need to be where, you have an agreement with him where he maybe continues to own 10% of the business and still be the face of the company. Or if he wants to exit, it would be like a slow process of where he brings in like a second spokesperson to be in his videos more and more, and eventually kind of takes a step back.
Yeah, yeah. That 100% makes sense. Actually, I don't know why, but I will tell it to you. But I somehow thought about the Daily Show for some reason because when Trevor Noah left the show, people just kept rotating different comedians to be on the show. It just never hit. And who was the first
John Stewart.
host? Jon Stewart, and he ended up inviting him back. And now Jon Stewart is the face of Daily Show after, I don't know, 2 years of trying to find the one, but then they went back to the first one. I don't know why I thought about this, but it kind of similar when
That's
people
funny.
just get used to the same place, same face. Yeah.
I didn't know he's back there. I haven't watched the show in a long time now, but I didn't know he was back.
Well, I was just curious about some U.S. news, and the only way I can like digest it as someone who is not an American and have no tie to it whatsoever is to watch the Daily Show because it's funny. So yeah, I just recently saw him again because I used to watch it when Trevor Noah was the host, and he was funny. Yeah. Anyway, I was just kind of like, if somebody listening, of course you guys are listening, is that I just brought it up as an everyday example, not an SEO example. It's not an online business example, but I don't know. Yeah. And what about, okay, let's think about the other way. So let's say you want to sell your business. What do you have to do in place before you are ready to sell? Like, I'm done. I want to get rid of this thing.
Yeah, so the best way for you to get like the highest multiple is you want to make sure that the business can run without you. So you want to have like a full management team in place. You want to have like SOPs, and basically your job is basically to fire yourself, right? You want to take yourself out of the business. So if you leave on vacation for a year and the business can still continue to grow, you've accomplished that. And so that way it makes it easier for a buyer to come in and buy it because then they're not relying on you for anything anymore. And it's less risky that way. It's actually
Mhm.
kind of challenging actually to buy agencies because a lot of agencies are still relying on their owner to do whether it's like sales calls or like leads generation. There's usually still very much involved in the business, especially for smaller agencies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that makes sense. I mean, service-based businesses, man, it's always so much more difficult because it's always rely on people's brain to do things. I don't know how to say this, but like if it's a product based business, then you can always somehow outsource the product, which is the main leading thing of the company. But with like agencies like ours, um, yeah, it's just human labor. It's just people
It's
doing it. Yeah.
It's true,
Yeah.
but agencies are much, much better for cash flow than product businesses because with a product business, your money is always tied up into marketing and inventory. And a
Yeah.
lot of e-commerce businesses, they don't really see any real money until they make like an exit at some point because it's always, cash in, cash out. Whereas with a service-based business, you can usually have some great margins at like 50%.
Yeah, I see that after the HCU too, that people just go out and start their own SEO agencies or marketing agencies as well. So, like while running the SEO Mastery Summit, I just see how the audience is changing over the years. Like in the first year, it was mainly affiliates running their sites, and then they slowly talked about like, oh, what about I start my own service business, and now they are mainly agency owners or doing some sort of service or started their SaaS, which is kind of like a service too. Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny to see the evolution. I think every agency owner wants a SaaS and every SaaS owner wants an agency.
because they go
But
well together. Yeah, we
they
have
they
both
do go
at
well together.
AWS. Yeah.
But SEOs are great on jumping on trends, right? Because like generally you'll see like people were in like affiliate marketing, then they went into like casino gambling, then they went to SEO, then they went into crypto, then they went to AI. Like I've never seen anyone become a professional AI agency. Like 2 days after ChatGPT, everyone's like branding themselves. Oh, I have 10 years of experience in AI.
Yeah, and oh my god, when they started they building a software around GPT, so this like AI generated blah blah blah, and we will make you this agent. But in the back is like a series of GPT prompts, maybe chained together, or even just one bot on its own. And I'm like, well, that's a clever idea. I mean, the I don't know everyday person like my neighbor probably doesn't spend as much time on GPT like I do. So for them, having it packaged in a service is nice. But yeah, in general, I see that the SEOs are really smart. They are really great at executing techy, nerdy things. Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, how do you you utilize AI? So one of my question is like in your everyday work life, what ways did you find AI to speed up your workflow other than content? Let's not talk content. We all know content is great on AI, of course. No, it's not. It does speed up a lot of things in content, but outside of content, what do you use AI for?
I use it. I use like the OpenAI API with Screaming Frog. I love that combination. So then I can crawl websites now with the power of the API in it. And so, for example, if I say I need to create like image alt tags, right? And there's like thousands of images, and I need to do it in bulk. I can set up Screaming Frog with the OpenAI API, and it'll basically read and understand the image and create like image alt tags for it. Um, I mean, I use it for pretty much everything. Obviously, content is a big one. Um, but yeah, I love the integrations with Screaming Frog.
It's awesome. Do you have any videos or tutorials to share with our audience or not yet?
I
Like how you
don't. I literally found this on the Screaming Frogs website when I was looking at like their APIs. So I was just playing around with it. Maybe there might be some tutorials on it. Um, or maybe I just create one for your audience.
Yeah, we could always run a workshop. That's a great idea because a lot of SEOs use Screaming Frog, and yeah, with any AI integration, I think that would speed up a lot of things for people, and just bring a lot of insights in. I usually use GPT as my intern, so if I have questions, I just put it in. I had this email or I don't know, WhatsApp message I've been trying to reply to. And I was so lazy to read it, so that I just screenshotted the whole conversation, put it into GPT, and asked it, what do I have to reply? So it just analyzed the chain and then gave me an answer. But yeah, that's fine. Some of my everyday use.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like, you can literally take a screenshot of your website and ask it for like conversion rate optimization improvements. And also what's great is I know ChatGPT has the deep research on the like expensive plan, but actually Perplexity came up with deep research yesterday, available for free. So I've been playing around with that one, which is great.
Wow, how did you use it?
You can you can just ask it like if you can put it like ask it to put together like a SEO research plan. You need to be like really specific with the prompting, and it'll kind of go out and it'll read and identify all the resources. It'll put together a plan for you. Obviously, you need to review it, but it has a lot of insights. You can learn, how to use different tools, right? So, for example, if you wanted to see all the ways people are using like Screaming Frog and OpenAI API, you can have it do like deep research and come up with all the different use cases for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I recently just started using Zapier just to speed up some workflows, and I found GPT really helpful to just teach me how to use Zapier. I've always been really bad with Google Sheets, for example. Like I cannot come up with formulas. So now GPT is the one, or Gemini, that creates a formula for me. But yeah, and man, I'm thinking now we should have like some AI workshop. It sounds fun. Sounds
You should take
fun.
a look at make.com. That's what like a lot
Make.com.
of people are using, as well as and I think it's N8N for the AI automations.
Oh, yeah, I should play more around with Make. I heard good things about it too. A lot of homework. Um, awesome. So Yuri, I'd like you to share with us one really cool case study that was really funny to you. That was like you think back at it and you just laugh. This is not a serious question. This is a hella not serious question here. Just for funsies.
Oh, funny.
I
A
mean, you
case
got like what,
study.
15 years of experience. There must have been some funny case.
Give me an example of a funny case.
Okay, so Gordana, she was one of my guests on the Aspiring CMO podcast, and when I don't know how, but she somehow generated 400 404s overnight. That was one of her
Got it.
case. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't have like super funny ones. I've spent one of the companies I worked with when I started there, it was like a huge e-commerce company and they've like never done SEO and it was not really programmed well. So they had like 600,000 duplicate pages. So I spent 3 months doing like a technical audit and like had to do like a whole strategy and plan of basically like fixing all the issues and then creating a plan around their filtering system. That work resulted in it was because they were doing something like 200 million in sales. They saw like a 20% lift. So like $40 of SEO value from a 3 month audit.
That's
Yeah.
insane. That's insane. Wow. What did it? Wow. How did you manage that much data too? Like that's insane to me. Yeah.
Well, that's why it took 3 months.
But even like man, like 3 months. But if you divide that, 600,000. But it's like yeah, a few hundred thousand you have to go through every month. So that's still a large amount of data.
That's a lot of canonicals.
Yeah. All right. So Yuri, now we are coming to the end of the podcast. I have a question that I usually ask for personal development purposes. My question is, if you were to go back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, that's a good one. Buy Bitcoin.
Yes.
That would be, yeah. Buy Bitcoin, buy or certain stock. I'd be buying Nvidia and Bitcoin.
Okay, that's great financial advice. Awesome, Yuri. And if someone would like to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Uh, I'm most active, or not super active, but LinkedIn is the best way to reach me. So you'll have my name there. Anybody can connect with me or just shoot me any questions they have around SEO or mergers and acquisitions.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Yuri, for joining the podcast.
Thanks a lot.
And
Bye.
bye. Bye.